Welcome to the Real Estate Investing Podcast, where we help you unlock your potential freedom through land investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. Hey everyone, this is episode 109 of the Real Estate Investing Podcast, discussing land investing myths. I'm your host, Daniel Apke, joined again by my brother and business partner, Ron Apke. Before we get into the show, let's go over a question from one of our featured members in our Discord community. Today's question is from Jessica. Jessica asked, are there any options to make a deal happen where the land current owners owes a mortgage to a land guy, not a bank? I know I could assume the loan possibly, but then how do I flip that, assuming there is profit to be made?
Good question. So essentially, to kind of rephrase, I think, Jessica's question a little bit. So she's looking to purchase a piece of land that someone has a loan on. Essentially, they have a mortgage on it, but it's not with a bank, it's with a person, essentially. So what you need to do, this is a very, very simple situation that we face a lot. All you have to do, Jessica, is get a payoff statement from whoever it is, from whoever lended the money, get a payoff statement from them, and then get that to your title company. The title company should be able to do the rest. They are going to get that payoff amount coming from your purchase price. So everything, that mortgage should be gone by the time you purchase the property. And that's the only way we would do things. So get that payoff amount from the lender, or ask the seller to get the payoff amount, get that to the title company, and then you should be good to go.
Yeah, we've done this before. I know at least once, Ron. I'm sure we've done it more times that I don't know of, but it's definitely possible. You just need that payoff statement, like Ron said. But other than that, Ron, let's get into the show. We're going to go over land investing myths today. And I think we kind of brought this up because we have a ton of new members. I mean, hundreds joining every week, it seems like, Ron, in our Discord community. And we see a lot of the comments and questions they ask over and over again. So we wanted to take this and go over some of those questions, myths, whatever you want to call it, about land flipping. And I think that's the main point, Ron.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot out there. So kind of touching base on these, letting you, a lot of you new people and people who are experienced too. Like from our experience, these are what we view as myths, honestly. Do you want to get kicked off, Dan?
Yeah. Myth number one that we have, Ron, is you need to use a realtor to buy and sell real estate. If you guys are in our program and you're following our course, or you're not following our course but you know what we do, you know that we, for 80-90% of the time, maybe 70-80% of the time, we're not using a realtor on the sell side, Ron, and we never use it on the buy side. You can legally buy property without a realtor. It's no problem at all.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know, this is not known outside of like real estate investors, outside of the real estate community. This is not really a known thing. We've talked about it quite a bit, but yeah, you need to know, you need to do the contracts. A title company does a ton of stuff, especially land, Daniel, without loans and stuff like that. It's really, really simple to buy
Yeah.
property without a realtor, to sell property without a realtor. The title company, you're paying them $1,000, or they're getting $1,000 of closing costs typically, or somewhere around there. Like they're going to do a lot of work for you, honestly, once you get it under contract, making sure all the documents are straight, making sure title insurance. So you're going to be insured on the transfer of the property if you're doing things with a title company. So yeah, it's shocking how many people personally who think that a realtor is needed. You need a license or something like that to sell or buy a property.
Yeah, which is not true. And that's why we're debunking that myth right here, Ron. Let's get into myth number two. You need a lot of money to flip land. People think land is very expensive, Ron, and everyone assumes that you need a ton of money to buy this land. Let's talk about some alternative ways we buy land, Ron.
Yeah, so a huge thing in our community, and it's growing every day, I think, with our community growing naturally, the deal funding community is growing. So we literally have 18, 19, 20-year olds with not a lot of funds behind them, but they have become really, really good at getting land under contract. So they get the land under contract, they get deal funding from one of these people with bigger pockets, deeper pockets, I should say. And then they have some kind of profit split on the back end. So really your job as a real estate investor, if it's land or not land, is to be, if you don't have money, is to get deals under contract, under market value, essentially, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. There's more money in our group, I think, than deals right now, which is great because if there's more money, you can buy all the deals you want. You just got to find the connections and the relationships and find the people to fund your deals, which means you can grow as fast as you possibly want to grow, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. You don't need to get underwritten or anything by a bank. You just need the money for marketing, Ron. 60 cents a mail or whatever it is right now. You need that money, or if you're cold calling or texting or whatever that is. And then the deals, you're not paying for the deals actually. The deal funder's paying for the deals and you guys are splitting profit. So you do not need a lot of money. There's a lot of people with less than $5,000 in our group that start out and they turn that $5,000 into, Lord knows what, Ron, after a few months of doing this. But myth number 3, land takes forever to sell. Land doesn't sell. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's I even thought that like 8, 10 years ago, you would ask me that. Like, I would have said the same thing, honestly. Like, you can't sell a piece of land. Like, who's gonna buy that? That's what everyone says. Like, you buy a really, really rural piece of land, like, all right, you bought it cheap, but who's gonna be your end buyer? And believe it or not, like there are people who want to escape the city life, escape out, get hunting land, whatever it is. And there are extremely motivated buyers, and it's desirable land most of the time what we're buying. So there's so many buyers out there. Yes, the market has changed a little bit, but we're still selling land fast, not necessarily faster, but we're selling land more efficiently than we ever have. We have to price a little cheaper than we did. Like I talked about in a previous episode, we have to price a little cheaper right now because of the recession, because interest rates, all of that. But we are selling land. There are buyers out there. They are looking for good deals, just like we're looking for good deals. And if they see it and if we post it, they're going to bite.
Exactly. It always blew my mind at first when we first started this business model, Ron, how many buyers there are in markets. And you think even these really rural, very, very rural Arkansas, Oklahoma, where you think no one's buying land, it's crazy how many buyers are out there. Everyone thinks you got to go to the hottest cities to sell land. It's not true. There are buyers of land everywhere. If you price it right, like Ron said, you won't have trouble selling land pretty much anywhere in the United States. I mean, there's obviously exceptions, but yeah, that's all I have to add to that. Myth number 4, Ron. This is a really interesting one. Abandoned structures are bad and need to be removed. Abandoned structures are bad for the land. So what happens when we send these offer letters out? A lot of times, Ron, there's mobile homes on them, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And those are abandoned. And now there's just grass growing on them. The windows are broken. The deck's falling apart. We run into this all the time. And everyone thinks they need to be removed or something happens and it's a defect. I don't look at it like that at all. How about you?
No, not at all. And what made me think about this when we were kind of planning this episode, we have a deal literally right now that we are purchasing, I think tomorrow or next week sometime. I'm not 100% sure. And we just got drone pictures, and it's a beat up mobile home on the property, like really beat up. I have no clue if it's livable. I really don't care if it's livable. And our transaction coordinator said, like, there's some trash, obviously some bikes laying around, stuff like that, but nothing that really scares me in terms of like old tires. Tires are a bad thing. Obviously, refrigerators can leak things, stuff like that. But she came to me and she said, like, I don't know about this one. Like, it's got a really beat up trailer on it. It's got some trash on it, some old bikes on there. What do you think? Asking me that. And I told her, like, this is good. Like, I'm all good with this. Someone's going to do something with this mobile home. If not, like, you can always post that on, someone will take that away. But I'm just going to leave it to the end buyer. And I know it's going to bring more end buyers to us because of that beat up mobile home.
People love seeing that in the marketing and pictures. Even if they don't buy it, they think it's neat. Andron, at one point, it probably had electricity, septic, all the stuff you need. So it shows it's a buildable, nice lot. You can, it has a flat pad that they cleared out most likely with trees and brush. So it's probably overgrown now, but still there's not trees in the way. You can build. It might have a driveway there, sometimes a gravel road or dirt road going to it. So it just makes it a lot easier to build. You don't need to do a lot of the upfront work, which is clearing the land and everything else with that. And at the same time, Ron, if it's a hunting cabin or someone might see that and might be able to put a few $1,000s or a couple $1,000s into it and make that a little hunting cabin, or, something they just post up in when the weather's bad and they're hunting. Like one person's trash is another person's treasure with mobile homes, I think, Ron. Like, it would be trash if I were buying it for myself. I think I'd get it removed and just put it on Craigslist and literally just offer someone to come take your mobile home. They'll come and take all the parts and components and use it for something, who knows what. But that's a really good one. And I think everyone joins the community and we always get that question, Ron, from people that are starting out. They sent mail and they think it's a defect. I love to see those. So that's all I have to say about myth number 4. Let's go on to myth number 5, Ron. You need to visit a property before buying a property. This is more specific, I think, to the people that are listening that aren't familiar with land investing, more real estate investors, Ron, but we do everything remote, 100% remote. We've never been to a property.
Yeah, I mean, to keep it, we've done hundreds and hundreds of deals, and we have never been to a piece of land that we have flipped. We've been to land that we've bought for long-term holds, but we have never been to a piece of land. That's what drone shots are for, and that's how we found out about that beat up mobile home that I was talking about in myth number 4 was drone shots. We had a really good drone photographer go out, give us some really detailed notes. But yeah, we've never been to one of our properties. We've never lost money on a deal. So I think those two things, like obviously you can do it successfully remotely and get drones out there, get boots on the ground, whatever you got to do.
And I don't want that to come off like there's nothing wrong that can happen with land, Ron, because we deny a lot of land based on our due diligence, based on the pictures, the drone shots, the satellite images, the slope on the property, the Google Street View. Like there are so many different ways we get eyes on this property without actually us two putting our foot there. We can have realtors go out there, drones, like Ron said, walk the land, give them instructions, send me a picture of the gate at the front, make sure it's working. All the little things that we do add up to enough due diligence to where we feel confident enough to buy that. And like Ron said, we have never even come close to losing money on a deal. And we've never set foot on a deal. And those two things are correlated in a way because the amount of due diligence we're doing. So I want everyone to not think that you can't lose money on a deal. You can get burned. We do an extensive amount of due diligence. So just wanted to throw that out there before moving on to myth number 6, Ron. You can't have multiple investors. Specifically, you can't have multiple land investors in one area.
Yeah, I think this comes in most like we do those 15-minute consultations. And that's a very common question in those consultations. And I feel like I'm answering it pretty much every time is like, what happens if I send mail to the same area someone else does? Typically, both people end up getting deals, which is crazy. Even if it's the same time, like this is a industry, it's more than just sending mail. Like it's about answering the phones, it's about negotiating, it's about having follow through with the sellers, because a lot of times these sellers just want money. Like there can be two successful land investors, there can be 10 successful land investors in a specific region of a state without a doubt. And there are states like that. There's so much land out there. There's so many different acreage sizes. Like a lot of people, when they're sending mail, would like send 2 to 20 acres. All right. So what's happening under 2 acres? There's people making money there. What's happening from 20 up to 1,000 acres? There's people making money there and everything in between. So I don't know. I don't know what the limit is, but we're far from it, in my opinion.
I agree. And the thing is, like, why we advertise remarketing and remailing all the time, like sending the mail to the same spots we sent 3 4 months ago that we got results in, and we get new results. So that just shows it's all about timing. Like I've had people in times in very diluted markets where a landowner says they've gotten 3 to 4 letters, right? And that might be something that we posted, Ron. Maybe we posted a county so everyone wants to send it there just from what we're saying. And then 3 4 people hit it and we send again, but we're still getting deals there. That's the crazy thing. Like if you price correctly and follow the techniques that Ron and I teach, like you will still get deals no matter if you sent it now or in 5 months or if there's a few. You might get more deals if there's zero competition. But at the same time, Ron, I feel like there's just something to remailing in an area being targeted. I know people who have never left the same county doing this, Ron, mainly out west where the counties are bigger, but they've never left a county to where they've bought and sold land in, Ron, which is really crazy when you think about it. And I think of two names when they come to mind that they stayed in the same western county their whole land career.
Yeah. I mean, you get micro focus, you become very, very educated on an area. Maybe you add some different things that you can do other than just buying and selling vacant. Like maybe you subdivide whatever it is. Like there's so much land in this country, so much vacant. There's so many sellers right now who need money. And it's not just like one area, just to pop this myth. Like there's not one area can hold many, many investors, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's all I have. Do you have any last myths that come to mind? That was 6 myths that I wanted to. Those were the 6 top myths of land investing, Ron.
No, I'd be interested. Like, if you guys are watching on YouTube, put some comments down there and let us know, like, if there's something we're missing, if there's something that you're questioning as far as like another potential myth that you're not sure, yes or no. I'd love. We'll cover that in a coming episode.
I'm sure there's ones we missed also that someone's
Yeah,
gonna comment on our YouTube channel. I'm gonna be like, oh wow, that's a really good one. We'll
yeah.
talk about that one in the future. But guys, if you have not shared this with a friend or a couple friends that could get value from land investing or our podcast, please copy and paste the Apple link, Spotify, whatever you're listening to them. And really that supports us and helps us grow our mission. Other than that, guys, thank you for joining and we'll see you next episode.
Thanks, guys.